Hey guys, my name is Joanne. Welcome again to my channel. If today is your first time here, you're very welcome here. Take a seat and enjoy yourself. And for my returning subscribers, thank you guys for always coming back here. I really appreciate all of you guys. Today's tutorial is all about the sewing of the base of this corset you're seeing in this video. If you haven't seen the cutting tutorial yet, kindly click on the link in the description box down below. It is very detailed, trust me. Also, click on the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet to be a part of this family, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell for interesting videos like this. So guys, if you're interested in this tutorial, stick around and watch this video to the very end. Don't skip any parts, as every part is important. Now let's get to the tutorial. So guys, now I am going to start by joining each of these panels you're seeing here. So I'm going to place the center front, the middle front and the side front like so, and I'm going to start by joining the center front to the middle front and the middle front to the side front. The allowance I added here was 0.75 all around these panels. So for the back I did the same thing, but the center back I did not add any allowance to that part, but if you want to, feel free to add allowance to the center back. Now I'm going ahead to remove the pattern paper, and I'm going to start by joining the main fabric, and then I'm going to proceed to join in the lining piece. For the main fabric I use crepe material for it, and for the lining piece I use a cotton lining. Okay, now I also added an interfacing, which is also known as the este, on the lining piece and the main fabric, just to give it stability. Now guys, I have secured the back with the pin as well. I am going to head on to the machine, and I'm going to be stitching, joining each of these pieces by 0.75. I'll do the same thing for both the front and the back, the fashion lining and the lining piece. So guys, after joining the panels together, this is exactly what you have. This is the right side and this is the lining piece. Notice that I joined the two front parts on the center to make it one, and this here, right here, is the fashion fabric. I did the same thing as the lining piece. So for this one here, this is the back, so this is the lining piece, as you guys can see, and underneath it is the fashion fabric. I did the same thing as the lining piece as well. Now I'm going to focus on this front parts, because I'm going to be making some alteration here on the front bodice. So you're going to place the right sides together, alright, and go ahead and use your pin to secure it. Make sure it aligns very well before you secure with your pin. Once I was through with that, I went ahead to place the pattern paper on the main fabric, excluding the seam allowance, the half-inch seam allowance on those top parts. Please, while placing your pattern paper, do exactly as I've done here. take away the extra half-inch seam allowance on the upper part and mark where you have your under bust, your waistline, and the bust points. You will be needing that line for the alteration we are going to be making here. Once I got each of those lines, I went ahead to take a straight rule to rule that line across. Do the same thing on the waistline and on the bust point line. Next, I am going to come here and ensure that the measurement is intact, okay, and what I have there is correct. I'm going to go ahead now to place the underwire on this line. So go ahead and from the center front, go ahead and come in by 1/2 of an inch. Remember what I did on the cutting part. On this part, I came in by 1/2 of an inch. So do the same thing here. Once you've gotten that point, go ahead and take your underwire and place exactly on that point where you marked your 1/2 of an inch. And then once you've gotten that, go ahead and trace out the underwire. Next, I am going to take my tape rule and I'm going to be confirming what I have from the point I traced out the underwire to the underbust. What I had was 1/2 of an inch. It shouldn't be more than 1/2 of an inch, okay? So I came in from the bust point line, I extended the measurement by 1 inch, and on the center front, I am going to also extend from the bust point line. I'm going to make an extension of 1/2 of an inch. On the side, I extended by 1 inch. On the center front, I extended by 1/2 inch. Please take note of that. Now, having gotten each of those points, I'm going to go ahead to mark out the sewing allowance for this cup side, okay? So you see that you make use of 1/2 of an inch, but don't go more than 1/2 of an inch. For me, I use 0.4. So I went ahead to mark that all the way from the center all the way to the side. Next, I'm going to come here. From that point I extended, I'm going to mark the sewing allowance for the center front. You need a sewing allowance for which you're going to be using that to turn your lining piece. Hope you understand. So mark your sewing allowance and then go ahead to cut out on the points where you came up by either 1/2 inch or 0.4 as your allowance. So what I did on the main fabric, I'm going to place the main fabric on the lining piece and do the same thing. Now let me open this up for you guys to see what this looks like. So this is what you should have, and this is the main fabric. This is exactly what you should have, guys. Next, I am going to proceed to drafting and stitching the cup part. So for the cup part, I'm going to be making use of this pattern paper here. I'm going to fold it into two for the drafting part. Now you're going to fold your cup like this, and this is how you're going to place it. Now let me fold this pattern like this and go ahead and place this cup exactly the way I folded it. Alright, so fold your pattern like this and fold your cup just the way I have done here in this video, and go ahead and take your pencil and trace out this cup part like this. Now I am going to go ahead and cut out this pattern, the excess pattern which I don't need. So after cutting, this is what you should have. I'm going to take my paper tape and tape the top part of this cup. If you want to have a two-piece cup, then what I am doing here, please don't do it. But if you want to have a three-piece cup, please go ahead and follow this step I am going to be taking just to achieve a three-piece cup. Now after placing the two cups, the two sides of this pattern together like this, using a masking tape, I am going to go ahead to now come down here on one part of this pattern by 1.5 inches and on this other side by 2 inches. That's because I want to give it a curve for the third piece of this cup. After marking this, I realized it wasn't that curvy the way I wanted it, so I proceeded to making it a bit curvy by extending the measurements on the middle part. Now take your scissors and cut out these parts just the way I am doing here. Okay, this one here now is the third piece for this cup, and these other two tiny pieces here is the first and second piece. So go ahead to label the center and the side. So the center part of the cup I came down by 1.5, while the side part of the cup I came down by 2 inches. Next, make an arrow to indicate the parts which you're going to be joining together. That is the two same piece and the last one, which is the third piece. Now I am going to go ahead to place this pattern on the fabric like this, main fabric like this, and I'm going to be cutting it out. I just cut this out off camera, and notice that I added 1/2 inch allowance all around this pattern, as you can see. So this is how it's going to be. This is how I'm going to stitch it together. So note that I did not take out the pieces because I didn't want to get myself confused. If you know how to label your panels, please go ahead and label your patterns, and also note the parts which you're going to be stitching together. For the fashion fabric, make a mark or anything to take note of the top part so you don't get yourself confused after joining the two pieces together. You're going to be stitching here by 1/2 inch. After stitching, this is exactly what you should have. Now after stitching the two pieces together, you're going to take this third piece and place on it right sides facing each other and stitch by 1/2 inch. So for this third piece, note where the center is and the side is. Like I said, the center is the part I came down by 1.5 inches and the side is the part I came down by 2 inches. So once you've stitched this together, this is how it's going to be. You open it up like this and you're going to take the third piece and you're going to go ahead and note the midpoints. Okay, indicate the midpoints by making a notch. That's for the third piece, and go ahead and place it on these two pieces like this, right sides facing each other. All right, once you've done that, you're going to be stitching by 1/2 inch. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing once you've stitched the two pieces together. So guys, after stitching the cup together, this is what I have here. This is what this looks like, and this is what you should have as well. I went ahead to open press the inner seam and I cut out the excess seam as well, as you can see here. I'm going to go ahead to notch the midpoint. Just fold this into two, right sides facing each other, and notch the midpoint. Do the same thing for your cup. Fold the cup together and notch the midpoint. Next, I am going to be placing the cup. This is how it's going to be. So just place the right side of the cup to the right side of the fashion fabric to the wrong side of the cup, and you're going to stitch the top part, okay, the upper parts, by just 0.25. Stitch here by 0.25. Do the same thing for this one. After stitching, you're going to turn it up like this, and you're going to be stitching the main fabric and the cup together. Okay, so guys, this is what I have, and this is what you should have as well. I went ahead to place the fashion fabric to the cup, and I stitch the down parts, the part which I'm going to be using to sew on to the main fabric. So after doing this, all of this for the cup part, I'm going to be putting the cup aside, and I'm going to be working on the front parts of this bodice. Now I'm going to place the right side of the front together like this, and I'm going to secure with my pin. On the waistline, I'm going to come down by 3 inches. You can do 2.5 inches. And from that point, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to style it this way. So guys, for this front styling, you can style it as desired. Depends on how you want it, okay? I had to use freehand to style it. So guys, having done this, I'm going to go ahead to come up here again by half of an inch. This is completely optional. If you like, you can leave the side line like this. So guys, now I'm going to take my lining piece and do the same thing I did here for the fashion fabric. Once I was done with that, this is what I have for both the lining piece and the fashion fabric. I'm just going to check if both the lining piece and the fashion fabric are equal, and I noticed they are not equal, so I went ahead to cut out some parts on the lining piece, as you can see here in this video. Now I'm going to bring the back bodice and I'm going to be placing it side by side to the front. Alright, so place the back bodice side by side to the front, okay, both the front and the back, place it side by side, and you're going to be cutting the back as well. So I went ahead to make a mark on the back parts, okay, from the side. You know, the side has to align, the back side and the front sides has to align. So make a mark on the side of the back, and from there style the back as desired. So for me, I just measured from the upper part, I measured the total blouse length, which was of course 28 inches, and from there I'm just going to mark all the way to the center back. Now, like I said, you're going to style the back as desired. There's no rule to what I am doing here. Go ahead and style the back as desired. You can even come up by from the hemline, go up by like 3 inches or go up by 2.5 inches, and from there that will serve as a guide for you to style all the way to the side. Just place the front to the back again to ensure that the sides are actually aligned together, and what I have there is on point. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the excess, the parts which I don't need for this tutorial. To give the bust parts a beautiful shape, come down by 1 inch and connect all the way to the side. Now go ahead and cut out the excess. I'm going to place this to the lining piece and do the same thing. Now I'm going to bring the front like this, open it up and place the back to the front, and I'm going to be stitching the side. by 0.775. I'll do the same thing on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the lining piece. So for the front allowance, I had to trim out the excess allowance here. That's because I am not going to be adding boning on the fashion fabric, rather I'm going to be adding boning on the lining piece. If you're going to be adding boning on your fashion fabric, please, there will be no need to trim off the excess allowance, rather do that on the lining piece. Since I'm going to be adding boning to the lining piece, I'm going to go ahead and start creating the boning channel on the lining piece, following the allowance I kept there. You're going to use 0.4 inch as your boning channel. Now, after joining the sides to the sides together, that's the back to the front, this is what I have here. I haven't ironed this well. I'm going to take this to the ironing board and give it a nice press and go ahead to cut out excess side seam allowance. For the lining piece, I've already joined the sides as well, as you can see, and I'm going to start creating the boning channel. But before you create your boning channel, you're going to place your gross grain ribbon. This is a gross grain ribbon here. This is what it looks like. This is about 2 inches in length, in width, sorry. And now you're going to place it on the waist area. It's going to help in the snatching of your waist as well. So as you're creating your boning channel, you're going to be sewing the gross grain ribbon to the waist line. Hope you understand. So place your gross grain ribbon like this and secure with your pin, then proceed to creating your boning channels. For this boning, I'm going to be using this to sew on the center back, close to the area which I'm going to be having the eyelets. As you can see here, I have stitched the boning. I stitched 2 of these. Now I left 1/2 inch allowance, which I'm going to be using to turn on the main fabric. And I have gone ahead to create my boning channel. As you've seen here, I'm going to place the right side of the main fabric and the right side of the lining piece, and I'm going to be stitching the down part. So stitch this down part by 0.5 inch or even less than 0.5 inch, and stitch the side as well. Do not stitch the top parts and the middle parts. Do not stitch the cup area as well. So guys, after turning the lining piece with the main fabric, this is what I have. I went ahead to insert the boning through the boning channel. I left the one at the center to show you guys. The width of those boning I'm using is 0.3. So create a boning channel of 0.4 so you have a little space to push it in, and insert your boning just the way I've done here. After inserting, leave about 1/2 inch on this top part. Hope you guys understand. For the center back, I'm going to simply run a stitch where I stitch the boning to the lining piece, just to have the stitches shown on the right side of the fabric. So that will just help press both lining piece and the main fabric together. So after fixing the boning, this is what I have here. Next thing I'm going to do is to take it to the ironing board and iron it flat. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead to pipe this upper part. Cut a long fabric of 1.5 inches in width. Once you've done that, you're going to place it, fold it like this, okay? Fold it this way, and you're going to stitch by 1/2 inch. Once you've stitched by 1/2 inch, you're going to use the remaining fabric that is left to pipe it. I hope you understand what I am doing here. So if you're placing the tiny strip on the wrong side, you're going to now pipe it to the front side of the fabric, and if you're placing it on the right side, you're going to pipe it to the wrong side of the fabric. And after you're done with that, you're going to now take your cup and you're going to be stitching the cup. Now this is how you're going to place your cup. take note of the center cup, okay, and place it on the center of the main bodice and sew by your allowance. So I'm going to sew by 0.4. That's the allowance I kept when I added to this area when I was cutting on the fabric. Hope you understand. So gently do this, and once I was done, this is it, and you've seen how the cup is sitting very beautifully. This is looking very neat already. I've not piped this area, I've not closed that part up. Okay, I'm going to use this one here to close it up. So I cut a long strip of 1 inch in width. I'm going to simply place it this way and stitch. All right, so I'm going to stitch by 0.25. So this is how you're going to stitch. After stitching it, you're going to use the remaining fabric to pipe it to the main fabric. When you pipe it to the main fabric, you're going to consider the boning area. Be careful while at it, take it gently. Then after that, I'm going to insert this underwire. Take note of the center underwire and the side underwire. The side should go to the side and the center should go to the center. So guys, I have piped this. As you can see, this is exactly what I have here, and this is looking very neat and clean. Please, when you're piping that, be careful so that you have a very beautiful and neat job at the end of the day. And I'm going to now pass the underwire through. I've already passed the underwire on this other side of the cup, so I left this side to show you guys how I am going to achieve the passing of the underwire. So pass it, taking the center all the way through to the center, as you can see me do here. And now you're going to leave about ½ inch from the top to where the underwire will sit, and on the side you're going to leave like 1 inch. Once you've done all of this, the base of your corset is ready for draping. So guys, stay tuned for the draping part of this tutorial. You're going to so love it. It is going to be very detailed. Thank you very much for watching. We have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you guys. Please don't forget to like and share this video. See you guys in my next one. Bye.